warm welcome to what I'm afraid is the last programme in the present series of It's a Vet's Life. But no time for sadness though, because today we'll be announcing the winner of the Puppy's Name competition and meeting some animal friends who visited us over the past few weeks.
Yes, we'll be tying up some of the loose medical ends and giving you progress reports on several of the animals who have appeared in the programme, like that cheeky baby squirrel. That's the one that we found comatose behind a garage. Well, that became a real tearaway. It didn't just get into my hair, it got under my skin. And, you know, fine now, rehabilitated, somewhere happy up in the trees. But, Marylyn, you remember the owl that was retrieved by that dog?
Oh, yes, it was lovely little fluffy thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, when it first came, it was soggy but sound, I thought. And we soon had it wee fluffed up feathers and its wee blue eyes shining out. And I thought all was going well. It was even standing up in the straw in its cage, you know, with, you know, the wee feathered legs that look like pantaloons. Yeah. And I thought it was all going well, and then disaster struck. It started to fail, and, you know, I was very worried about it. Everybody was at the surgery.
Oh, dear, so what did you do?
Well, Bill Timmis, my first line of defence with birds, I got him enlisted, and we tried very hard to save it, but unfortunately just yesterday it died on us.
Oh dear, what a shame. Mind you, if neither you nor Bill could save it, I mean, maybe it wasn't meant to survive, because after all, Bill is the expert on baby birds, isn't he? Do you remember when we went along to Harewood Bird Garden and he was acting as dad to all those baby emus?
Yeah, 7 of them. I call them the Magnificent 7. Well, they're big now, of course. There's no chance of him getting them all in here, because the emu is the second biggest bird in the world, but he's brought one of them, and I think he may be struggling with that. Let's go and have a look at it.
Hello, Bill.
Hello.
Yeah. It has
Hasn't it grown? Yes.
It's not quite as pretty now, is it? It had all those lovely stripes on when it was a baby.
It's a great shame they don't stay in that lovely juvenile colour.
So about how old is it now then?
It was hatched in March, and they now have gone into the bird garden. Obviously, we don't have them at home at this size, so they're in an outside enclosure.
They get duller and duller as they get older, unfortunately.
Yes, and they eventually look like mops with legs, don't they?
Don't
they lose this lovely.
Right, beautiful. You two knocking them.
Oh, I liked them when they were chicks. They were very pretty, weren't they? But how did you get on with them, Bill? You had 7 of them.
Yes, they were all reared successfully, and they're now on show in the bird garden.
That's marvellous.
They're in an outside paddock, and as you can see, the difference between when they were first in the studio.
Well, as we said,
steady, emu, steady.
Well, as we said, they are the second biggest bird in the world,
That's
so
right.
They're obviously getting a bit of a handful now.
Yeah.
How big will it be when it's fully grown then?
Well, this will stand about 5.5 feet. We don't know what the sex is yet. You can't sex them for some time.
You couldn't catch them to sex. My goodness.
He's quite strong, isn't he?
He is,
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, Bill. Man, Bill's going to give me a hand, you know, with this as well. But he said, you know, after the owl and the liaison with that, he said, I'm going to give you a start with emu rearing. But he started me off at the bottom of the ladder. And recognises it. This is an emu's egg.
Yes.
But it's a bit of a joke, that I'm not really going into emus.
Yes, well, I think you'd find it a bit of a handful, wouldn't you?
He's very strong, yes.
But Bill, I was very grateful for your help over the owl, you know. I mean, I think, well, it made me feel not so bad to lose it when I knew you couldn't help.
Yes.
And Bill's come back to me, Marylyn, and he said, we've lost that one, but you can save another. And just take a look at this. This is a baby owl, a very young one, you know.
It's almost bald, isn't it? It looks more like a vulture than
Yeah, I think it's pretty as well, though. Yeah. That's a snowy owl. You don't see many of these about, Bill.
You don't, no. They're actually on the British list because they do nest in Shetland, and occasionally they do come onto the mainland. They're like birds on passage.
Yeah, but they're really from the polar regions.
They are, yes, from all the Antarctic areas.
So if you wanted to see them, you'd have to go to Harewood Bird Garden or something like that.
Yes,
no?
we have two breeding pairs.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot more success with this, though, aren't we?
I hope so, yes.
They are magnificent, aren't they, when they're fully grown? Anyway, let's hope that he grows up to be a fully fledged snowy owl. Well, with such a variety of birds to be found at Harewood, it was a little surprising when John discovered a bird-eating spider on the premises.
We do some weird and wonderful things on It's a Vet's Life, but I never thought you'd catch me holding a tarantula, because I had always believed that these were deadly, poisonous little insects. Bill, they're not, are they?
They're not, no. They can give quite a painful bite, and you can and you can get a local reaction to it. But they're not deadly as most people think they are.
My hand won't drop off.
No, it won't. They're quite placid, as you can see. This one is.
Yeah.
This is a Mexican red-legged tarantula.
It looks spectacular, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. It's quite a spectacular spider.
I suppose, dressed like this in all its finery, the look of it is enough to frighten off any predator.
Yes, it is, yes. They live in arid desert-type areas and spend most of the day in holes in the ground and come out in the evening when it's fairly cool, and then they hunt for insects. They can move quite fast, you know, they're super predators.
You keep saying cheering things to like they can move quite fast. The thing is, you say they live in these far-off places, but do you know, recently in Yorkshire, I found they'd sold 4 of these at £28 each to children, and just this morning I phoned up and they said, oh, we've got one left. Now, I don't think that's a very good idea.
No, I disapprove strongly of that, because first of all, in the interest of the spiders themselves, they must be properly looked after. They need a temperature of between 75 and 80 degrees. They need a proper tank to be kept in and proper humidity, the proper food to feed on, crickets and locusts and so on. And unfortunately, most of those that are sold to children and to adults don't survive very long. Properly cared for, they can have a life expectancy in captivity of up to 20 years.
But don't forget, spiders like this may look beautiful, and as I say, I've grown quite attached to this one. This one could give me a severe bite if I move it too quickly, but down here in this other tray, we have another spider, the Texan
Cinnamon.
cinnamon. And
yes.
that one we don't even lift the lid off, because that would most certainly bite me. So there's the message, kids. Pets, dogs, cats, budgies and rabbits, but not these exotic animals like spiders and snakes.
I must confess, John, that once I got used to that tarantula, I did find it quite a beautiful creature, but they're pretty fearsome, aren't they?
Yeah, they've got a terrible reputation. Some of them deserve it as well, you know.
Do they?
But, you know, it's quite natural to have an aversion to some animals or insects, and if it's shared by other people, it could be the right thing to do. I think if you do feel an aversion, it's a good thing to obey your instincts. I mean, lots of folk don't like rats, for instance, and they were responsible for transmitting bubonic plague. And rat-borne diseases are supposed to have accounted for more people than all the wars and all the revolutions in the last 10,000 years. So that's something to conjure up. So if you don't like rats, you've got good reason. And, of course, there's so many insects that make us go, yuck. Marlyn, how about these? You know what these are, don't you?
These are your Madagascan hissing cockroaches,
And you
aren't
very
they?
well hear them hissing?
Yes, already.
This one doesn't want to come. It's very
Doesn't,
active.
does it?
Pop them on your hand, because I know
No.
you can do this now.
Now, there was a time when there's no way I would have done that, is there?
And he's moving sharpish today.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, but he's a lovely wee animal, and the hissing's supposed to be a sexual sign, not an aggressive thing. Although I still jump when I hear it.
Oh, they're still pretty revolting, though.
Aye, and children, of course, shouldn't be tempted to handle cockroaches. It's quite right that we go yuck, because a lot of them carry disease. But the Madagascar one, which this is, doesn't, which is why I'm letting you handle it. And look,
Yes.
wee bit horrific underneath when you look at all these wee belly parts and
Oh,
things.
gosh,
Yeah.
awful.
Pop
Put
it back in?
yes.
Right.
Done my brave bit for today.
Right, the next bit's easy. Because I find that some people don't even like frogs and toads and things. But this is my favourite, of
Oh,
course.
he's beautiful, isn't he?
Green as could be, but he's
Yes.
called white street frog. See, lovely, cool
Lovely,
skin.
isn't he? Yes, and he's not slimy at all. He's
No.
just very nice.
He's got the nice, cool skin of the amphibian. Do you want to hold him a wee
He's
minute?
trying to climb up the trees, isn't
Yeah.
he?
Suckers on his feet for
Yes.
doing just that.
Yes.
But of course, you do get poisonous frogs as
Do
well.
you? But he's not, though, is he?
No, I
No.
wouldn't let you handle him, Marlyn.
No.
He's got a wee bit of thread round his toe, which I'll just take off. Let me pop him back in.
There you are.
Come on, big frog.
Woo.
That's it. Back into here. But I suppose, Marlyn, that there are animals that make people go yuck more than most, and these are the reptiles. I've got one here, a good friend of mine, again from the bird garden, believe it or not, reptiles from the bird garden. This is a chameleon.
Yes.
Watch him change colour as I pick him up.
He's in a green mood today,
Ah,
isn't he?
he's a green
Must
mood.
be to match the frog.
Beautiful wee turreted eyes, but just feel the way he grabs you as I pop him on. Just the way he'd grab branches with these
Oh, yes.
double-sided feet like that.
He's got quite sharp claws as well. I can feel him digging in there.
Aye, that's so he can line himself up and shoot out that tongue and
Yes.
get the insects.
Aren't you beautiful? Yes,
Yeah,
you
he's
are.
really beautiful.
Isn't he gorgeous?
Aye.
Yes, I
Some-
like him.
Some are not quite so beautiful. But of course, there is one particular reptile which seems to strike terror into quite a few hearts. That's the beady-eyed, fork-tongued, slithery snake. But nevertheless, there are people who keep them as pets and find them quite fascinating.
What is the fascination, though, for you?
I don't know. I suppose it's just something different. It's something I've always been interested in. I've always been found in the reptile house at the zoo when I've gone visiting.
So you've always been interested in them, even as a child, then, have you?
Oh, yeah. They're nothing to be frightened of. People think they're slimy and they're not. They're quite warm.
Yes, it's one thing sort of keeping a reptile, but it's another taking him to bed with you. How do you do that?
Well, he just doesn't like to be in his tank. As you can see, it's quite lively.
What did
He
your
doesn't
husband
like to
think
be-
about you bringing a snake to bed?
Oh, he's very fond of him, but he's always out on nights anyway when I bring him. It's just for company. No, that wasn't meant to sound like that. He's just as fond of him as I am. He sticks to his tarantulas, though.
How do you feed a snake like this?
On live mice.
Live mice?
Yes, they don't like dead meat.
Oh, dear.
Indian pythons will take dead meat, but our python won't. They're one of the most difficult pythons to feed.
It sounds a bit horrid, that, having to feed a live animal to
I
him.
shut my eyes till it's over with.
But you still think it's worth
Oh.
keeping him, even if you have
Oh,
to do
yeah.
that?
Yeah. He's worth it. You only feed them once a fortnight anyway.
He's quite an adventurous soul, isn't he? In fact, he's been getting himself into a bit of trouble, hasn't he?
Yes, he has. He wrapped himself around a light bulb not long ago, and he's got himself quite burned.
Oh, that looks horrid, John, doesn't it?
You can see how all the top scales are coming off, and just as if when we get burned, you know, it can go deep. And there's quite a lot of reaction there. All the green stuff, by the way, isn't the burn. That's the antiseptic powder that's been used to dust the wound. But you can see the redness. It's quite sore, although it won't be so very long before he starts to cast his skin. And underneath, he could be lucky and have a good new one there.
But is that just superficial damage, do you think?
Well, it's going in quite about 2 or 3 millimetres, so it's quite deep.
And what harm could that do to him, then?
Well, imagine yourself with a burn that releases toxic products and then the body absorbs them. It's a kind of internal poisoning. And, of course, it's hard to tell when snakes are ill. I mean, Lynn said he was off his food for a couple of weeks, but then snakes can do that anyway. You know, they go a long time without eating.
So how are you treating this, Lynn?
Well, I had some difficulty in finding out what I should do, to be quite honest, because there's not many vets around here that have a lot to do with reptiles. So I had to ring Mayor's Brazil and get in touch with the owner there, and he told me to put antiseptic powder on, keep it dry, and as you can see, it's healed quite well now. It was a lot worse to start off with.
Yeah, it's got about another couple of weeks to go, so.
Oh, yeah. He's got new skin underneath, though, now.
I take it, John, that's the veterinary equivalent of the doctor's bedside manner, is it?
Elsie, I think it's more a recipe for insomnia. But Marylyn, I don't really agree, as you know, with people keeping snakes as pets. I think it should be a specialised hobby for a select few who are devoted to learning about snakes and passing back the information on natural history or whatever for the good of snakes. But the thing I think that turns me off most of all is this feeding of live food. I mean, I had a lady write to us recently because she heard the bit of the programme where I said it was illegal, or it may be illegal, to feed live gerbils to snakes. And she's taking me to task. And she said, "You said it is illegal to feed live animals to snakes. I agree you should not feed gerbils to snakes. They tend to be very difficult to digest, owing to their coarse fur." So she's obviously not caring much about the gerbils. She's only worried about the snake's digestion. Well, apparently people have been successfully prosecuted, so in some cases it is illegal. I admit that others have got away with it, and it all seems to stem on whether the magistrates judge that there's cruelty involved or not. But, she ends by saying, some people think it's cruel to feed live animals to a snake, but it's quick and painless, and above all natural. Now, I don't think it is natural. You've got a snake in a glass tank, and you pop in a mouse. It's not even a wild mouse. That is extremely unnatural. You know how cats go out and catch mice? And you say, oh, shame for the mouse. There's no way I would put my cat in a box and put a tame mouse in beside it. I think that's cruel. But we have got a man who knows more about snakes, much more than I do. Roger, Roger, do you want to pop in and let us know?
I brought one of his reptiles with him. That's beautiful. What is it, Roger?
It's a green iguana from South America.
And what sort of habitat does it live in?
Well, it comes from tropical rainforests in general. Sometimes they come from slightly arid conditions. And this is an important thing about keeping them in captivity, because the environment has to be rather constant. You have to have constant temperatures night and day. It can't take a degree of chilling at all.
He is beautiful, isn't he? I mean, look at the length there of those claws and fingers.
Yes, they live mostly in trees, and that's why they have the long claws for gripping onto the branches.
Now, he's quite small, isn't he? Is he just a little one?
He's only about half grown. This is a species which attains round about 6 foot.
And so what in fact does he eat?
Vegetation, almost entirely, yeah.
Great, like to hear that.
Yes. How do you feel about this subject of feeding live animals to snakes and reptiles?
Well, I really disagree with it if the snakes will in fact take dead food. And most snakes will in fact take dead food. It isn't too difficult to wean them onto it. The Leeds University, who have a large collection of snakes, feed all their animals on dead food, and I believe most of the zoos do in fact do the same.
Yes, it's a bit of a class stick, really, isn't it? Because you've got to kill the things that you feed them on in the first place. But yes, you distinguish between actually killing them and feeding them to them live.
Yeah, that's one of the sort of illegal aspects of it. In fact, if you have made an attempt to keep a snake or feed a snake on dead food, then it isn't regarded as illegal as such to feed it on live food after you found that it won't in fact take dead food at all. But initially, you see, we found that they will mostly accept dead food.
You see, what I can't face is a glass tank, big snake in it, say a big python, and you pop in, say, a guinea pig, or some people do. I think that's pretty cruel to the guinea pig, Roger.
Well, it's certainly cruel if the python doesn't kill it straight away, surely. I mean, the animal's stressed because it's being chased around.
Aye.
And that isn't certainly a humane practice by any means.
I wouldn't like to do it.
I don't think so.
No, we saw the film there of somebody keeping a snake like that in a house. It wraps itself around the light bulbs and that sort of thing. I mean, as a herpetologist, you presumably don't really agree with that sort of domestic keeping of animals.
Well, I've no comment to make on that, about going to bed with it.
Snakes in bed, don't like comment.
Anyway, where would you keep him then?
This iguana?
This one, iguana.
Well, you'd have to have a rather large cage for it because it is a tree-living species, so you want to keep it in a fairly spacious container. Yeah.
He's beautiful, isn't he? Gorgeous colours, isn't he?
Lovely face, but I noticed, Roger, he's got a wee skin nose. How did he come by that?
Yes, this is one of the problems of keeping reptiles in captivity. They tend to rub against the glass. Certain species do, anyway.
Well, you hang tight to that big iguana, because I've got another wee flat-faced species that I want to show Marylyn. Come and have a look at this.
Thanks very much indeed,
Thanks,
Roger.
Roger.
Thank you.
Right, Jill, that's lovely. Just let me have her. Yes, lovely.
Now then, this is little Tina, isn't it? The pug who was paralysed, wasn't she, because of a slipped disc?
That's right, almost slipping off the mat at the moment. Remember, discs don't slip from her.
That's right.
They burst and do all things, but they don't slip. But you can see that she can't get around very well, which is why we've got her on a rubber mat so she doesn't slip. But you know, you mentioned wheels to get them to travel around a carriage. Well, we did find a man, and he made this contraption here, which you put her in, and she goes scuttling along, pulling herself with her front legs. Well, she would do, except that she's knocking on a bit, being about 90 in human terms, and she's too old, a dog, to learn new tricks. So,
you can't blame her, can you?
She's not going to settle with that, but it is a good idea for many other dogs that are paralysed. So she's going to stay the way she is. So if you can just stay there a minute, Marylyn, like that. Because, do you remember Sam?
Yes.
Who smashed his legs up at the back?
Yes, the nice black cat. Yes, our Barry Sheen cat.
Yeah, and he had legs like a chicken.
That's
and everything.
right.
And what he had done, of course, was he had broken the bottom part of his femur like this, and we used a steel pin, a curved pin like that, to put the whole thing back together again. So, thanks to wire and pieces of steel, he was able to walk again. Although when we first saw the X-ray, it really was quite horrific. There's one leg here, and the bottom end, that wee piece broken straight off. On this side, like that, and then again, same thing on the other leg. So we opened up the legs, and using, Serge, if you just pass me that one, Marylyn, thank you. We've put that curved steel pin right up the inside to hold it together. You can just see the wee piece of wire at the bottom. And here's the double shot. That leg now done. That one's still to do. So we went on and did that, and of course Sam's never looked back since. So listen, Jill, you hang on to the wee pug here. Marylyn, you go across and have a look at Sam.
Right.
That's a good girl.
My goodness, he must be active, John, if you've got to cage him up now.
He doesn't like it, but he can dash about upstairs, off chairs now. We'll have to keep him a bit contained, you see. Come on, Sam. Don't grumble at me now. Terrible grumbler when he's in a
cross,
cage.
yes.
That's it, kid. You come out to me.
Like that.
That's right. You just hold him, man. See how well his legs have covered up with hair now?
Yes, where those chicken legs gone, Sam?
They're beautiful to see them all covered in fur. You hold them while I get this cage out of the way.
Certainly seems to have got his spirit back again.
I want to do a wee test with him because, you know, his legs have repaired beautifully. I'm really amazed to see all that fur regrowth.
Yes, it's
I
lovely.
promised it would happen, but I was kind of crossing my fingers, you know. What I want to do, because we've got his owner sitting over here. Hello, Jane. What we're going to do is pop the cat on the edge of the table. We're going to say, there you go, Sam. Help him off, and then we hope he'll jump up and run across to his owner.
That'll be marvellous, won't it,
Right.
after all those
Let me just
smashed
have him
legs.
again like that. Come on, kid.
Just get him off me first.
Hanging on to you as well.
Yes.
You might have to jump off the table.
There's
Right.
your mum, Sam.
Okay, off
you
you
go.
Oh,
Good
beautiful.
boy.
Just a quick hop hop.
That's marvellous, isn't
Agile,
it?
see these legs? And he's still got the steel and the wire. And see how nimble he is?
Oh, that's marvellous, isn't it, John?
Yeah,
he really
it is.
has done a real Barry Sheen. I mean, it's great to see both of them looking so well these days, isn't it?
And all thanks to a few bits of steel, bits of wire, and just a tiny bit of surgical skill. And there he is, leaping off and running. Great, I think it's tremendous. That's called bioengineering, you know, when you're actually putting wire and steel into living tissue. Bio means living. And look at this for a feat of bioengineering. This is a human knee, Marylyn, and this is the new prosthesis. It's called a condylar shell, designed by an engineer called Bahar Sidam. Brilliant piece of engineering. And if you've got osteoarthritis, they take off the diseased bone, fit one of these, and then at the bottom, where it articulates, they put a high-density polyethylene bit, and it slides nicely like that.
That's wonderful.
Beautiful. A bit bigger than the bones I deal with, of course.
That's right.
Do you remember Tarquin, that lovely cat?
Oh, his big fluffy one,
Yeah,
yes.
we had to inject into his knees.
That's right.
Well, his trouble was that he had a kneecap in the wrong place. You can see the difference in the size of bones, can't you?
Yes.
The kneecap, which is much smaller, of course, than a cat, and this, by the way, is a dog bone, they slip like that, up and down that little groove. In Tarquin's case, it was out of place because the groove was too shallow. So surgically, with scalpels and all that, we had to dig a deeper hole so that his kneecap wouldn't slip out of place. And you know, I think it's going to work. We've got him here, we'll have a wee look at him. Jill, do you want to hand Tarquin in?
Hello, Tarquin. Whoops.
Tarquin, lovely name, eh?
There he is. Oh, yes.
And look.
Another chicken leg.
One, he's only got one. But there's the knee, you see, and we've got all the stitches out. He's looking fine.
Right.
Not too happy, but the leg's fine.
Yes.
And you know, Marylyn, I really think that we might win with this. I didn't at the time, but I think we will. I think he's got a new knee. But the thing to remember is this was an inherited condition. And so if he were mated, he would pass it on.
Yes.
But he won't do that because we've also neutered him while he was asleep. So he's not passing on any genes. But thoroughbreds do have more problems with inherited conditions. Have a look at this thoroughbred here. Actually, it's only a little muggy.
Little muggy tiger. Oh,
Yeah,
isn't
it's got a bad
sweet?
eye. See its wee bad eye?
Oh.
Came in to have that seen to. Only 2 weeks old. It's beautiful. And no likelihood of inherited defects, or at least much less. And the same really applies to wee doggies. Come on, little sleeping doggie. Up we come. Look at that.
Isn't he gorgeous?
Heinz 57 varieties.
Beautiful.
Less likely to have inherited defects. Quite beautiful.
Lovely. Right. Well, whether they're ordinary moggies or crossbreds like John's little friends, or in fact more aristocratic members of their species like Tarquin here, they do make lovely pets, don't they? And as we saw with 2 other youngsters earlier in the series, it doesn't take them long to win our hearts completely.
And here are the 2 little beauties that were born from caesarean section. How you cope with them, Mrs. Schofield?
Oh, very well.
Family doing well?
Yes, fine.
Well, I better just give them a check while they're here. You come out, little un, and you come out, little un, and you're big enough to sit in one hand, aren't you? Now this one, this is the little girl, bigger but little girl. This is a little boy. You've got to be a vet to be able to tell at this age. Are they keeping fine?
Yes, fine.
That's great. What weight were they when they were born?
The dog was 4 ounces and the bitch was 5 ounces.
Right, well, we've got the little baby weighing scales ready. Check again. This is the dog. He weighed 4 ounces?
4 ounces.
Right, just let's see now, because they've got to be comfortable in here. Well, he's gone up to just a shade over 5. Now, that's 3 days he's been born, and he's gone up just an ounce a wee bit. Now, the girl was 5, so if we pop out the little boy and pop in this little girl like that, that's beautiful. Now, according to this, that's about 7 and a wee bit. So that's nicking on at some rate of speed. That's lovely. I think we'll just pop them both in there a minute because it's nice and comfortable for them.
Lovely. Weren't they tiny then? You could get them both on one hand, couldn't you?
Yeah, look how massive they are now. But they've still got their own wee tails, haven't they?
That's right.
Yeah, well, this is the wee boy, of course. I've just borrowed it back because I thought it'd be nice to have a reunion on the last programme. But this one's already got a good home. Very happy with Mrs. Rowbottom. But that one might be going elsewhere today, eh?
Right, well, let's find out, shall we?
Struggling.
Let's find out about the competition and who's won.
Well, you grab this wee one
Whoops,
before
let
it
me move
wears
them
me
over.
out like that. That's it.
We've got plenty of energy now, haven't we?
Oh, I'll see. I'll see. First of all, may I say thanks to everybody who entered the competition because we had so many excellent suggestions for names. Most of them are terrific. Some were memorable for being terrible, like this nameless person who sent in Checo Pig and Snerko Face. We're not having that, are we?
I quite like that.
Cheeky. Mind you, I'm a bit disappointed, Marlon, because I fancied Doc and Doris. You know, that's Scottish for a little drink. But luckily, you know, Mrs. Schofield, the morning after the evening when I removed these by caesarean section, she arrived knowing I was tired, and she brought me this, wee Doc and Doris, or not so wee, and it says, vet sleeping tonic to be taken orally. It's by mouth. If patient becomes sleepy and falls about, stop dosage immediately. Stand upright and give his face a good wee rub. So you can do that later for me.
Right.
That's nice. But seriously, Marlon, we did sort out 3 people. We're going to have 2 runners-up, and one of them's going to get a trip round the studios, prizes for all, and the other one's going to get the compendium of the best works of James Herriot. This is it here, and isn't it a beautiful book?
Seriously, beautiful, yes, lovely.
Little added touch, I managed to get a photograph of the great man himself actually autographing this book.
You managed to sneak in there yourself, haven't you?
Wasn't easy. Wasn't easy, but it's a nice prize, isn't it? But of course, the biggest prize goes to the outright winner, and little lad, he's been fully vetted. We've got him here, and his name is John Stockton, and he comes from Chesterfield. So
Right.
that's the outright winner.
Right, let's go and present him with
Okay.
his prize, shall
Do you want
we?
me to
John,
take the wee
you
boy?
take the little
That's
boy.
lovely.
Right. Hello, John.
You come and sit with him. Hello, John.
Congratulations. You got the winning name. Now, you must tell us, what were the winning names?
Micro and chip,
Now, why did you call them that?
because I just like computers.
Do you? It's a very, very modern, up-to-date sort of name, that, isn't it?
I'll say, well, Micro's sure to get shortened to Mike, so this'll have to be the wee boy. So you'll have to call yours Chip, eh?
Right, and
Chip
here
off the
we
old
are.
block.
That's right.
Get a grip of it.
There we
Get
are.
a grip of it.
There's your little
Yeah.
pup. Isn't she beautiful?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's lovely.
You're
Well,
going to
listen,
look after her well, are you?
Yeah.
I've started it. She's been fully vaccinated. She's
Yeah.
had all her worming and things.
Yeah.
And we're going to give you some wee booklets and you're going to do the job right, eh?
Yeah.
Right.
That's lovely.
Isn't that lovely?
Yeah.
Well done, John. What's your final message?
Well, this may be the end of the series, but it's only the beginning of an exciting new relationship for John here and his new puppy. So can I wish him and all of you health and happiness in your lives and continued love and companionship from your pets. I hope I've been able to show you something of the exciting work that makes a vet's life and that we will meet again soon. Till then, do the best for your pet, be nice to your vet.
And as John said, hopefully we'll be back soon with another series. Until then, from all of us and our little winner here, bye-bye.